At 29, Alina finally felt ready. For nearly 10 years, she had worked 2 jobs, skipped vacations, and delayed every big plan in her life, just to save for a down payment. Please like and subscribe for more contents. She wasn't chasing luxury. All she wanted was a modest home, in a quiet neighborhood, where she could finally feel stable. Owning a home meant more than just having a place to live. It was proof that everything she had sacrificed wasn't for nothing. It was independence. It was safety. And above all, it was hers. With her savings nearly complete, but still short of the full amount, Alina did something that took a lot of courage. She asked her parents if they could help just a little, to top up what she was missing and help her secure a better loan. She didn't expect a yes right away, maybe a long talk, maybe some concern. But when she asked, what she got was something else entirely. Laughter. Her father chuckled, like she had just said something ridiculous. A house? Do you think we're made of money? He asked. Her mother didn't even look up from her phone. Sweetheart, she said flatly, you're almost 30. It's your life. Be responsible for it. We helped with college. That's already more than most. Alina stood there, stunned. She wasn't asking for them to buy the house. Just a little help to make a big dream possible. But they shut it down so fast, so carelessly, that it hurt deeper than she expected. It wasn't just the no. It was how small they made her feel, like she had no right to even ask. Still, Alina didn't give up. She kept searching. She put in offers on 3 different homes. Each time, she was outbid by buyers with cash in hand. Friends around her posted photos of housewarming parties, sipping wine in fresh-painted kitchens. Meanwhile, Alina returned each evening to her cramped rental. Paint peeling, noisy neighbors arguing through the walls. She reminded herself that her time would come. She just had to hold on. But the hardest blow hadn't arrived yet. It came dressed in white lace and wrapped in glittering bows. Her younger sister, Naomi, got married. Naomi, the bubbly, beautiful one. The golden child who always had their parents wrapped around her little finger. When Naomi announced her engagement to Eric, a popular social media influencer with more charm than savings, their parents couldn't stop smiling. They paid for everything. An engagement party, showers, a gown that looked straight out of a magazine. But weeks after the wedding, the real shock came. Naomi posted a video, a grand tour of a mansion where they would spend their honeymoon for 3 full months. Alina watched the video in silence. Naomi's voice floated through the speakers, bubbly and excited. We can't believe it. Oceanfront, infinity pool, marble everything, a private chef, it's unreal. Alina blinked at the screen, frozen. The caption beneath the video read, "Huge thanks to Mom and Dad for this surprise honeymoon gift. We are speechless." Her hands trembled as she set her phone down. The tiny apartment around her seemed to shrink even more. Her leaking faucet dripped steadily in the background. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there, stunned. It wasn't just the money. It was what it meant. Alina had begged them to help her leave that same broken-down apartment just to get a fair shot at buying a home. And they had laughed. But for Naomi, they had rented a mansion, a palace, just for her to relax in for a few months. Alina thought about every late shift she worked, every holiday she skipped, and how none of it had earned her even a fraction of the support Naomi got without asking. That night, something inside her shifted. She wasn't going to beg anymore. The next few days blurred together. Alina went to work, came home, and tried to sleep. But that video haunted her. It played again and again in her mind. Naomi's excited smile. Their parents beaming beside her. Champagne glasses raised. Alina would close her eyes and remember her father's mocking laugh. Her mother's dismissive shrug. The memory burned in her chest. But instead of letting it eat her alive, she sharpened it. What they didn't know was that she had already started planning something. Something quiet. Something permanent. Alina had been documenting things for years without even realizing it. She kept old emails, texts, voice notes. She saved pictures of receipts, photos from family events, little things that seemed harmless at the time. But when laid side by side, they told a very different story. She didn't want revenge. Not really. What she wanted was clarity for herself. Proof that her pain wasn't just in her head. She wanted them to see the full picture. And one day they would. Then, just when she thought she'd be stuck in limbo forever, the universe shifted again. A letter arrived. It was from her grandmother's lawyer. Alina hadn't expected anything. Her grandmother had passed years ago. But the letter explained that there had been a second trust. A quiet one. Protected, invested, and left untouched until Alina turned 30. Her breath caught as she read the details. It was real, and it was significant. Her grandmother, the only person who ever truly saw her, had left her a way out, and Alina was going to take it. Alina sat alone on her couch, the letter in her lap, hands still trembling. She thought back to a moment in her grandmother's kitchen years ago. They had been baking bread, flour dusting the counter, warm air swirling through the open windows. Her grandmother had looked at her with tired but loving eyes and said, "They see Naomi as the star, but you, sweetheart, you're the fire." Alina hadn't understood what that meant back then, but now those words echoed like thunder. Her grandmother had seen everything, and she had prepared for this moment. The next few weeks were a quiet whirlwind. Alina worked closely with the lawyer, signed the papers, and secured the funds. She searched for a home that felt like peace, not too big, not flashy, just solid and full of character. She found it on a quiet street with tall trees and warm brick walls, a garden in the back and windows that soaked the rooms in sunlight. And when the deal went through, Alina stood in her new living room and let herself breathe. For the first time in her life, she had something that was truly hers. She didn't tell anyone. Not her co-workers, not her friends, not even Naomi. Especially not her parents. Instead, she made a plan. Her family loved appearances. They loved stories they could tell others. So, Alina would give them a story, but one they didn't expect. She invited her parents to visit one weekend, saying only that she had something exciting to share. No mention of a house. No clues. Just an address on a quiet, tree-lined street. She knew they'd come. Curiosity always pulled them in, especially when they thought it was about Naomi. On the day of the visit, Alina stood at the front door of her home. Her palms were sweaty, but her posture was calm. When her parents' sleek SUV pulled into the driveway, her father stepped out first, wearing his signature smirk. Her mother followed, fanning herself with perfectly manicured hands, her heels clicking on the pavement. "Where are we?" her father asked, squinting at the house. Alina smiled. "Come in," she said simply. "I've been waiting to show you something." They exchanged glances, confused but intrigued. They stepped inside, and their expressions shifted almost instantly. The polished wood floors, the glowing kitchen, the soft art on the walls. It was all so unlike what they expected. "You bought this?" her mother asked, blinking as she looked around. "Yes," Alina replied, "with the money Grandma left me." Her father's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Alina led them from room to room like a gracious host. She served tea. She smiled. She let the silence stretch and the shock settle in. And then, she reached for the folder she had placed on the side table. Her father took the folder with a puzzled look. "What's this?" he asked. "Documentation," Alina said calmly. Her mother sat up straighter. "It's a breakdown of everything I ever asked for," she explained, her tone light but steady. "Help with college, help with the house, even emotional support. And I included receipts for everything you gave Naomi in the last 5 years, just for comparison." Her mother's face went pale. Her father flipped through the pages, his mouth slowly closing. Alina didn't look away. She held their discomfort like a mirror. "What are you trying to say, Alina?" her mother asked sharply. Alina took a breath. "I'm saying thank you," she replied, her voice unwavering. "Because every no you gave me, every time you laughed at my dreams, Every time you chose Naomi, I turned that pain into purpose. I no longer need your support. I don't need your approval. And I definitely don't need your permission to live a full life." They were speechless. Her mother stared at the floor. Her father looked like he'd been punched in the chest. But Alina didn't let the silence scare her. Her father finally cleared his throat. "And Naomi?" Alina smiled, a small, unshakable smile. "Naomi will be fine," she said. "She always is. But if you ever wonder why your calls go unanswered, why you're not invited to holidays, why my life continues without you, it's because this was the moment I let you go." She stood and gently opened the front door. "Thank you for coming," she said, just like a host dismissing guests from a polite gathering. Her parents moved, slowly, shell-shocked. Not a word was said as she closed the door behind them. Later that night, her phone rang. It was Naomi. "I don't know what you said to them," Naomi began, half laughing, half stunned. "But Mom's been crying non-stop, and Dad's pacing like a tiger in a cage." Alina sat on her sofa, staring out the wide living room window, the moonlight stretching across her floor. "I told them the truth," she said simply. Naomi paused. "Honestly, good for you. Someone needed to do it." Alina didn't answer. She didn't need to. Naomi had been handed everything. But Alina had earned something Naomi never would: freedom. In the days that followed, Alina didn't post anything. She didn't explain herself to extended family or try to justify her silence. She just lived. She planted flowers in her garden. She rearranged books on the shelves. She made soup on Sundays and opened her windows every morning to let the sun pour in. The house wasn't a trophy. It wasn't revenge. It was peace. And for the first time, her life wasn't about surviving others' choices. It was about building something no one else could take away. One afternoon, she found the journal her grandmother used to write in. On the last page, written in the soft cursive she remembered from childhood, were 4 simple words. "Let them miss you." Alina traced the letters with her finger. Her grandmother had seen it all before the rest of them did. The neglect, the favoritism, the silent strength building inside Alina. And instead of loud praise, she had left her with something far more valuable, a way out and the wisdom to know how to use it. Naomi texted a few times after that. Harmless updates, funny videos, old family photos. Alina didn't ignore them, but she didn't respond either. Some spaces needed to remain quiet. Her parents didn't reach out again, not right away. But Alina knew they would. Eventually. Because people like them always come back, not to apologize but to rewrite the story. And she was ready for that too. This time, they wouldn't get to be the authors. This time, Alina's silence would speak louder than any words they could muster. One Saturday morning, she walked through her new neighborhood. She greeted the old couple across the street, waved at the kids riding their bikes. A woman at the corner bakery smiled and said, "You just moved in, right?" Alina nodded. "Yes, just getting settled." "Well," the woman said warmly, "welcome home." Alina smiled, really smiled. It was the first time those 2 words, welcome home, felt completely, perfectly true. She didn't need to prove herself anymore. Not to her parents, not to Naomi, not to anyone. The little girl who once begged to be seen had grown into a woman who no longer needed the spotlight. She had built her own stage, and while no one clapped, and no one threw confetti, that didn't matter. She had made it, on her own terms, and on quiet nights when the wind rattled the trees outside and the fireplace hummed softly, Alina would curl up with a cup of tea, pull a soft blanket over her legs, and smile to herself. Not because of what she had, but because of what she let go of. The house was beautiful, but the freedom? That was priceless.